Okay, so if you're running a business in India, you know GST compliance is a huge deal. But what's happening behind the scenes? Behind every single return and e-way bill, there's this whole world of technology that can be either your best friend or your worst enemy. Today, we're going to crack that code. We're going to demystify the APIs and the service providers that are really powering all of this GST automation.
So here's what we're covering. First, we'll talk about the challenges you're probably all too familiar with. Then we'll get into the good stuff, the different ways you can automate this whole process. We'll break down what these GSPs are, look at going for a direct connection, explain how you actually get set up, and this is super important, we'll talk about how all your financial data is kept safe through it all. All right, let's start with the problem. For so many businesses, the day-to-day reality of just trying to stay compliant with GST is, well, it's a real grind. It leads to some very common, very frustrating headaches.
You know the drill, right? You create an invoice in your own system, and then you have to turn around and type all that same info again into the GST portal. It's just asking for typos or entering the same invoice twice, which, can cause some serious compliance problems. And then you've got this mountain of paperwork. Trying to match an e-way bill printout to the right invoice in your own files, it's a total nightmare. These aren't just little annoyances. They're genuine risks to your business.
But here's the good news. You don't have to put up with all that. The GST network has actually created a few different ways you can automate everything. So the real question becomes, which one of these paths is the right fit for your business? So, looking at it from a high level, you've basically got three main options. First up, there's the free offline tool from the government itself. That's pretty straightforward, great for smaller businesses who can just plug invoice data into an Excel sheet. The second option is using what's called a GSP, or a GST Suvida provider. Think of them as a third-party service that handles all the tech stuff for you. And then, for the really big companies, there's the third path, direct API integration. That's where your own systems talk directly to the GST portal, no middleman.
Okay, let's zoom in on that second option, the GSP, because it's a really common choice. The best way to think about a GSP is like a tax filing travel agent. Seriously, they know all the routes, they handle all the tricky connections, and they just make the entire process a whole lot smoother for you.
Now, the official definition is an entity that's been authorized to help you and me interact with the GST system. But I want you to focus on that word right there, innovative. That's the key. GSPs aren't just supposed to be a pipe for your data. They're expected to build really useful tools, like slick web portals or handy mobile apps that actually make your life easier when it comes to compliance.
And that brings up a really important question, one that a lot of business owners have. Do I have to use one of these GSP services? Is it required? And the answer, straight from the source, is a very clear no. The GSTN itself says that if you're using their free offline tool, or if you may be a small retailer with only a few B2B invoices, you can just enter the data yourself directly on the portal. So, to be clear, GSPs are a great option, a powerful tool, but they are absolutely not mandatory.
Now, let's jump to the other end of the spectrum. If a GSP is your travel agent, then going for a direct API integration is like plugging your company's own computer systems directly into the airline's main server. It's incredibly powerful, it's direct, and it is built for massive volume.
And check out the benefits here. Notice anything? These are the exact solutions to all those headaches we talked about in the beginning. That double data entry? Gone. Those little manual errors? Way down. And here's the best part. When your system generates an e-way bill, that number automatically gets saved right next to the invoice details in your own system. The one invoice printout has everything you need. It's a game changer.
But, and this is a really big but, this kind of power comes with a very specific price of admission. To even be considered for direct API access, your company has to be handling at least 1,000 activities a day. We're talking generating or updating invoices, that sort of thing. That number, 1,000 per day, is the official line in the sand that separates the large enterprises from everyone else. And the checklist doesn't stop there. First off, you need to have an automated system to begin with. You need a static IP address, one that doesn't change for security reasons. You need a secure domain name. And this one's critical. You have to have a separate pre-production system, a sandbox, basically a testing playground to prove that your whole setup works perfectly before you can connect to the real thing. This is a serious commitment for your IT team.
So, let's say you check all those boxes. You meet all the requirements. Getting plugged in isn't as simple as flipping a switch. You've got to go through a very formal, step-by-step onboarding process that's managed by the government authorities. So the journey to go live is this structured 5-step path.
It all starts with you emailing the help desk to get access to that sandbox, the testing environment. Then, your tech team has to go in and test every single function to prove your system is ready. After you submit a successful test report, and only then can you register for your live credentials, and finally, you get to go live.
And after all that hard work, all that testing and verification, you're in. Your system is now officially speaking the same language as the GST system, directly, seamlessly, and automatically. But hang on, with all of this incredibly sensitive financial information flying back and forth between systems, you've got to be wondering, how on earth is it all kept secure? The answer is actually in the really clever design of the API connection itself. First, just a super quick reminder of what an API even is. Just think of it like a secure, digital messenger that follows a strict set of rules, allowing your accounting software to talk directly to the GST system. So how does this messenger make sure nobody else reads your mail?
Now, this diagram might look a little complex, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. Before even a single piece of your invoice data gets sent, your system and the GST system do what's called a secure digital handshake. It's like they're exchanging secret passwords to create a totally private, one-time-only tunnel just for your communication.
And this is the result of that handshake. As soon as that private channel is open, every single piece of data, every invoice number, every tax amount is completely scrambled and encrypted before it even leaves your system. And it stays that way until it arrives safely on the other side. This is what guarantees that your financial data stays completely private and secure, from start to finish.
So there you have it. GST automation isn't some far-off idea anymore. It's here, right now, with real options for every kind of business. Whether you're a perfect fit for the simple offline tool, you need the managed help of a GSP, or you have the scale for the raw power of a direct API, the tools are on the table. The only question left is, which path makes the most sense for you?